What's up everyone, my name is Ale. Welcome back to my world of stocks. In today's video, we're talking all about Palantir stock, which is of course one of my newest speculative stocks in my portfolio. And while it is certainly risky because of how relatively young they are, as well as the lack of profitability, I'm still willing to bet on them long term because I think that they're going to have a much brighter future than people might think. So today I'm going to list off for you guys 5 different reasons why I believe that Palantir stock is actually going to soar over the long term. As always though, just please make sure that you do your own research and make your own decisions. I'm only sharing with you guys my personal opinion, and it happens to be a bullish one. We're not going to be covering the bearish things or the negative things about Palantir stock. So make sure that if this is a stock you're interested in at all, make sure you do extensive research on it before you even think about buying it. Don't just copy what other people are doing. I can be wrong with my opinion here and my views, so just keep that in mind. But if you're still with me and you're curious to know what my personal 5 bullish reasons are for investing in this stock long term, then I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's go ahead and jump straight into my list. Alright guys, and starting here with reason number 1, it's going to be their business strength and diversification. See, Palantir is a data management and artificial intelligence specialist that uses AI to help both the government as well as commercial businesses quickly analyze and manage their giant amounts of data to increase their efficiency and accuracy in whatever it is they do. For example, the Gotham platform is used by various government entities ranging from the CDC, who used it to better track the pepperoni outbreak during the pandemic by collecting and analyzing all the geolocation and infection reporting data, while the US military uses it across land, sea, and even space to do things like track their enemies' movements, analyze the battlefield and create better strategies and game plans, or even aid in emergency evacuation plans, just like they did in the Afghanistan disaster, which helped save over 15,000 people thanks to Palantir's technologies. They're even helping in the Ukraine-Russia conflict as we speak, having already helped over 100,000 refugees relocate to the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, their Foundry commercial platform helps companies run their business more effectively and efficiently, just like they did for Concordance Healthcare, where they set up an entire medical supply chain platform. I think it was like the first of its kind, and it brings together manufacturers, suppliers, distributors, and providers into one real-time system that together helps them with orders, with planning, with inventory levels, and many more things, so long as they pay for the license, which helps Palantir. They also partnered with the giant airplane maker Airbus to help them increase the production and delivery of their A350 plane by over 30%, while also developing a sort of aviation operating system for the entire industry that has already grown to over 140 different airlines, over 10,000 airplanes, and almost 27,000 users. Most of these contracts, by the way, are worth millions of dollars, sometimes tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions. And that actually leads me to reason number 2, which is their growth and their future potential. According to the IDC, the International Data Corporation, who is basically like the most reputable data-related research firm in the world, well, they estimate that the amount of data worldwide is going to double in just a few years by 2026 because of how enormous the data usage is growing around the world and how important it's becoming. In fact, they estimate that the global big data and analytics market will also double in size by that time, with digital transformation spending also topping over $3.4 trillion. And considering that Palantir offers services and solutions to practically all of these associated markets, well, their total addressable market should grow enormously large too. In fact, Palantir first estimated that their TAM, their total addressable market, was worth $120 billion at the time of IPO just a couple years ago, and yet analysts have already increased that amount to about double the size by 2025 at $230 billion. So when you consider that Palantir only did about $1.5 billion in sales all of last year, which is less than 1% penetration, well, there should still be huge room for growth in the future. And that's mostly what we've seen from them, putting up a whopping 40% plus revenue growth in both 2020 and 2021. However, this year and the next are projected to correct back down to around 20% growth because of the deteriorating macro economy, where governments and corporations are trying to spend less money and tighten up their budgets in the face of record high inflation, rising interest rates, and a possible looming recession. But those temporary setbacks actually leads me to reason number 3, as they've caused the stock price and the valuation to both crash to much more attractive levels for Palantir stock. See, right after IPOing in 2020, Palantir stock initially skyrocketed up to over $45 a share because the business was growing fast and investors saw huge potential in it. It kind of grew this like cult-like following. I mean, it was super popular. But once things started to slow down and the broader stock market began to crash in the face of a deteriorating macroeconomy, well, the stock proceeded to get absolutely destroyed, not only crashing down to a lower price than their IPO, but it has now fallen by a mind-blowing 86% from the top, leaving the stock trading at just the mid-single digits, as investors have been really selling out of any kind of highly valued speculative stock like Palantir that has also still not yet achieved GAAP profitability, and that's just something that investors just do not want to mess with during these conditions. And valuation wise, we're talking now though about a stock here that used to trade for a price to sales ratio of almost 40, but has now fallen all the way down to just around 7 today. Now, granted, a PS ratio of 7 is still a bit high, but when you factor in the large future potential, especially when looking at profitability, well, Palantir stock actually starts to look pretty attractive, which brings me to reason number 4, future profit and margins potential. See, Palantir could actually benefit from software-like margins if they weren't so busy investing in future growth initiatives. Case in point, their adjusted gross margin actually consistently sits above 80% every quarter. And when you take the next 5 years into account, their price to earnings to growth ratio is only around 1, which is generally considered the standard for what a good value is. And thanks to the stock crash, it's also down from over 5 just about a year ago. And over time, their contracts will only continue to stack up on top of each other, which I personally think that it's going to create a snowball effect to their recurring revenues and profits. For example, their total remaining deal value, which is basically like the money that they are still owed from contracts, well, it's currently sitting at over $4 billion, which was also up by 14% last quarter. In other words, the backlog of money that they're making from contracts is getting larger every time, and not just by a small amount, it's growing by double-digit percentage. And mind you, this is during one of the worst macro economies that you could ever operate in, where the first half of the year was literally in a recession. Which brings me now to the 5th and final point, a broader market recovery. See guys, even during this horrific time, on the verge of going into another recession 2 years in a row, well, Palantir has still managed to grow their total customer count by a massive over 65% this last quarter, with also a 63% increase to new deals. And like I said, those new customers are likely to stick around and snowball over time. Because when you look at net dollar retention, which measures the change in revenue from the already existing customers, well, Palantir they sit at positive 119%. That's huge. And even their biggest cash cows are also paying more, with average revenue from the top 20 customers growing by 15% last quarter. And they're already spending a huge amount. They're the biggest spenders, and they're still growing. They're still spending more. And that's because once companies hire Palantir to run and manage so much of their data and so much of their business, well, you're just not likely to switch over to a different provider. That doesn't really make any sense, especially if you're the government who is hiring them for sensitive projects. But if anything, you're just going to hire them to do even more work over time, as long as you're doing a good job, which when it comes to performance, Palantir is one of the absolute best. In fact, the IDC actually ranked Palantir as #1 in the entire world on artificial intelligence software last year, saying, quote, Palantir has demonstrated its clear leadership in AI on a global scale. We predict the growth of the AI sector is nowhere near slowing down, and we're excited to see how Palantir continues to separate itself from the competition by solving the toughest business challenges out there with their platforms. So, in my opinion, guys, this is the only thing that is really kind of lacking or holding back Palantir stock is that broader market recovery. And I know that there are many things to be pessimistic about with the economy, with the stock market, and I've gone to length about it in several videos. But guys, these downturns happen and eventually we do experience a recovery, and I'm still optimistic that that's going to happen. Actually, I think it'll happen a bit sooner than people might think too, and we've discussed that in other videos too. But regardless, my point is that I honestly cannot believe how well Palantir has performed and how they've managed to still grow by such large amounts during such horrible economic times that we're currently going through right now. And that's really impressive to me because that tells me that they have a product that businesses want, that the government wants, even during these horrible times where businesses are cutting back on spending, governments are tightening budgets, and they're still wanting Palantir's product. And that tells me that it has longevity. That tells me that it's going to be in demand for the future too, and that it is something that has legs to stand on. So that's what I really like about Palantir. That's what makes me optimistic about the future, because if they can perform this well right now, how are they going to perform during an actual expansion when the economy is actually doing well and is in recovery mode and is starting to take off? That's what I'm looking forward to, and that's why I believe that the stock is going to outperform. I think their business will do well and the stock will follow over the long term. But hey, that's just my opinion, guys. I could be wrong, but those are my views. Those are my thoughts. Do you agree with them? What do you think? Do you disagree with anything I said? I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Do you own the stock? Do you hate the stock? Any and all thoughts are welcome down there in the comment section. Let me know, guys, and I'll respond to your comments. And I hope you're all doing well. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.